I can still feel the weight of that moment the instant they opened the file. My stomach twisted, but not because they were about to expose me. No. It was the way the man tapped on a page with my sister Emma's signature printed boldly under a crime I never even knew existed. Before I go on, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share so more people hear stories like this. I was standing in my mother's living room, surrounded by relatives who stared at me like I just walked out of a prison cell. Emma positioned herself right in front of me, arms folded, pretending she was the bravest one in the room. "Luna, just stop pretending," she said, her voice dripping with fake assurance. "You've been lying for months. That so-called big job you talk about? The money? The success? It's all made up." A few heads nodded. Someone smirked. My uncle leaned over and muttered loudly, "I always knew she exaggerated. I didn't defend myself. I didn't tell them about the endless nights building my tech startup from scratch. I didn't mention meetings with investors or the partnership that could change everything. I kept quiet because in my family, good news turns into gossip before it turns into support." But Emma, she hated seeing attention shift toward me. She hated the idea of me succeeding at something real. So she went to extremes. She hired actual private investigators to dig into my life. They showed up today. 2 men in dark suits, carrying laptops, photos, and a thick folder. My mom greeted them like they were war heroes returning with medals. "Please," she begged, "show us the truth. We can't have Luna embarrassing us." Embarrassing them? I almost laughed. The lead investigator opened the folder slowly. Everyone leaned closer. "Before we discuss Luna," he began, "there's something unexpected we uncovered." Emma stiffened. No. This is about her." He turned the folder around. The documents weren't mine. They belonged to Emma. Documents showing a hidden account opened using our mother's ID, filled with transactions that looked very intentional. My mom gasped. My uncle's mouth dropped open. Emma stood frozen, her face drained of color. I stepped forward. "Go on," I said quietly. The investigator nodded. "Luna's truth is here. But first, your sister needs to explain this." Emma's lips trembled, but the words refused to come out. Before anyone spoke, the investigator flipped to another page, one that made my mom scream. Proof that Emma had taken something much bigger. Something that could break the entire family apart. My mom snatched the paper from his hands, staring at it with shaking fingers. "Emma, why is my ID used to open a bank account? What is this?" Her voice shattered the room. Emma backed up. "Mom, I don't know. It's fake. They're lying. They're on Luna's side." The investigator raised an eyebrow and pulled out another sheet. "This is surveillance footage," he said. "That's you, Miss Emma. Same day, same time, same branch." Everyone crowded closer. It was undeniably her. Her husband, Tyler, looked at her like she was a stranger. "Emma, you told me you were at the dentist." She said nothing. Her hands trembled violently. My uncle whispered, "What else has she taken?" The investigator placed one more document on the table. "This," he said, "hit us harder than anything else. Mrs. Parker, your property tax wasn't paid this year. The funds were rerouted into the same account." My mother almost collapsed. "Emma, you stole from us?" "It's not what it looks like." Emma screamed. "I was going to return it. I just needed time. Why are we still talking about me? Luna is the liar here." She pointed at me like I was the villain, but the room had already turned against her. Finally, the investigator turned to me. "We investigated Luna's finances, her business, her files," he said. The room fell silent. Even my chest tightened for a second. Emma smirked again. "Yes. Finally. Tell them." The investigator placed a thick stack of papers on the table. Proof of every deal, every investor, every email, every payment. Everything I had kept to myself. My dad picked up the papers with trembling hands. "Luna, why didn't you tell us?" I took a breath. Because every time I try to share something good, it becomes a joke. Or a competition. And then the investigator said the sentence that destroyed whatever hope Emma had left. "Luna isn't just telling the truth." I can still feel the weight of that moment when the investigator placed the final document on the table. My chest tightened instantly. And it wasn't because they were accusing me of something, it was because the signature on that page belonged to my sister Emma. right beside a crime I didn't even know existed. The whole room froze. My entire family stood around me, their eyes burning holes into my skin. The investigator didn't say a word at first. He simply slid the last sheet forward. My mom's scream tore through the silence, loud enough that the neighbors might have heard it. That page changed everything. It exposed the real reason Emma fought so hard to tear me down. A reason so twisted that for a few seconds I forgot how to breathe. As soon as my mom read it, her hand flew to her mouth. She stared at Emma like she was looking at a total stranger. You did all of this because you were jealous?" Her voice was barely there, but the pain behind it hit harder than any shout. Emma staggered back like her legs couldn't hold her weight. No, that's not what happened. They're twisting it." But the investigator cut her off. It's all her own words. Emails, screenshots, messages, conversations with the private investigator she paid. Nothing here is twisted. It's straight from her. He tapped a sentence, and the entire room fell into an icy stillness. I need proof she's lying. She can't stay ahead of me. I refuse to let her become the family favorite. Find anything you can. I want everyone to see she's fake. My mom started crying. Tyler stared at Emma like she wasn't his sister at all. You hired people to spy on your own sister? Just so she wouldn't succeed. Emma's voice cracked. You don't understand. She was always the quiet one, the invisible one. Then suddenly she becomes successful, independent, admired. I'm the older sister. People are supposed to respect me, not her. The silence that followed was suffocating. We all knew Emma craved attention, but no one imagined this level of obsession. The investigator wasn't finished. And the more Luna accomplished, the more aggressive Emma became. She even reached out to your business partner. My stomach dropped. What? For what reason? He pushed another printed message toward me. This one felt like a punch to the ribs. If you stop working with Luna, I'll tell the investors something about her they won't like. She tried to sabotage the biggest deal of my career. My dream. The one thing I built from absolutely nothing. I turned to her slowly. You tried to destroy my work. My future. Emma's eyes filled with panic. I wasn't actually going to do it. I was just mad. I thought if people stopped believing in you, things would go back to normal. Normal. My voice shook. You mean where everyone laughs at me? Where I struggle and you feel superior? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. My dad slammed his hand on the table so hard the plates rattled. This is sick, Emma. You tore your own sister down just to feel bigger. Emma grabbed the back of a chair like she needed it to stay upright. Fine. I made mistakes, but it's not as bad as he's making it sound. The investigator raised his head. Actually, it's worse. He pulled out a small flash drive. As soon as he plugged it into the TV, everyone in the room stood up. The video began with a dim office. Papers everywhere. A woman on the phone. Then the camera shifted. And my blood ran cold. There was Emma, sitting at a desk that didn't belong to her, handling files she had no business touching. The investigator paused. This is the accounting office from your parents' old company. Emma was never authorized to be there. She got in after hours using a copied key. My mom whispered, barely audible. Why would she go there? The investigator didn't answer. He just pressed play again. The camera zoomed in. Emma was holding a document titled, Inheritance Distribution Draft. My dad gasped. That's from 2 years ago, before we updated the will. But Emma wasn't just looking at it. She was changing numbers, shifting percentages, adding her own name where it didn't belong, erasing parts that were written for me. That was the moment it hit all of us. Jealousy wasn't the real motive. That was only the surface. Beneath it was something darker. Greed, control, and a betrayal so deep it cracked our entire family open. Emma suddenly slapped a hand over her mouth as if she could physically stop the truth from escaping. Stop. Please stop the video. You don't understand. But the investigator didn't pause. His voice stayed steady and the footage kept rolling. This wasn't a single incident, he said. On the screen Emma appeared again, and again 8 different days. Each visit she changed something. Each visit something went missing. My mother's voice trembled. What did she take? The investigator sighed and pointed at the screen. This time Emma was unlocking a drawer no one else was allowed to touch, my father's private drawer. She pulled out a sealed envelope, opened it, counted the cash, and slipped half into her purse before closing everything as if nothing happened. My father's face flushed with pure fury. That was emergency money for the company, he growled. Emma opened her mouth, but only panic came out. Tyler, who had been standing beside her, slowly stepped back as though she'd become a stranger. You stole from your own parents, he whispered. I didn't steal, Emma insisted. I borrowed it. I was struggling. Nobody cared what I was going through. But nobody believed her. Not this time. My mother wiped her tears. Emma. How long has this been happening? The investigator answered before Emma could. 3 years. 3 years of unauthorized entries. 3 years of missing funds. 3 years of secretly changing inheritance documents. My chest tightened as everything finally clicked. So that's why you targeted me? Tried to ruin me? Hired someone to dig into my life? Because you were terrified I would uncover this. Emma's face collapsed. Yes, she screamed. Because if you succeeded, if people started trusting you, everything I did would come to light. I couldn't let that happen. My father shot up so fast his chair toppled backward. You betrayed every single one of us. Emma dropped into a chair and sobbed uncontrollably. I didn't want to lose my place. I didn't want Luna replacing me. But the investigator wasn't done. There's one final piece, he said quietly. The most serious one. Everyone froze. He pulled a new envelope from his briefcase and set it on the table like it was made of glass. Emma's face drained of all color. She didn't need to see it. She already knew. My father stared at her, his voice low. Emma, what did you do now? The investigator slowly slid out a single sheet of paper. A bank document. A loan. A loan taken under my mother's name. My mother staggered, barely catching herself. You used my identity again? Emma covered her face. I was drowning. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. My father shook his head, devastated. This is not a mistake. This is criminal. Stolen identity, forged signatures, financial fraud. Even Tyler stepped away from her completely. This could send you to prison, he whispered. Emma cried harder, collapsing into herself. I'm your daughter, your sister. Please don't report me. I'll repay every cent. Just don't destroy my life. And then for the first time every pair of eyes shifted to me. The sister she tried to crush. The girl she mocked. The one she believed would always stay beneath her. My mother spoke softly. Luna, what do we do? I looked at Emma, shaking, exposed, terrified. She had tried to bury me, but I wasn't her. I took a slow breath. I don't want her in prison. I just want the truth to stay within this family. But Emma repays everything. And she gets real help. No lies. No excuses. My father nodded. That's fair. Relief washed over Emma, but it wasn't happiness. Just the weight of reality pressing down on her. This wasn't forgiveness. This was consequence. As everyone turned to process the disaster she had created, my mother squeezed my hand. Luna, I'm proud of you. You stayed quiet. You worked on yourself. And in the end, you rose above all of it. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. Emma wanted to destroy me, but in the end she destroyed her own lies. And the truth finally stood on its own.